Welcome back to Access Granted.
This is the depalletizer. So the empty glass comes in on pallets and it strips off a layer of cases using a very low pressure vacuum and delivers them over here. You look back down in the machine there, you see that the next layer is coming. A pallet slides and then it drops the cases and brings it over, and then it picks up the next set.
Yeah.
And that's waiting. Cool. It used to take 3 guys to feed this machine that we're running right now, the filler. So 3 people were feeding it with cases. And it was a terrible thing because the cases themselves weigh about 20 pounds. And so you're doing that, 20, 60 times. I mean, once a minute for...
Right.
So right now, they're shutting, so you can see bottles are ready. It's stacked up and getting ready to run empty bottles down into the filler.
Now, there's like a soap bead film. Is that just to keep the bottles to slide?
Yeah, because...
So the track will slide under them when they stop?
You notice over here, we have to take all this bottle population and then single file it so that it can go into the filler.
Right.
And so they're plastic, the chain is plastic, and you want a little bit of soap so that they can move around very easily. And if you feel it, it's not overly slippery.
No,
just a little bit.
Enough.
You're seeing the beers single file, and they're going through a rinser, which is right behind you here, and they're being rinsed with sterile water. The beer bottles are indexed on a filler. They ride around on the fill head. The beers are vacuumed out of air, and they're counter-pressured with CO2. They're vacuumed out of air again, they're counter-pressured with CO2. They're vacuumed out, counter-pressured to 40 pounds and beer-filled and crowned, all at 525 bottles a minute. And so right now what you're seeing is LTD2 being packaged and crowned. And the crowner's right there, adding the crowns to the bottles. So the bottles come out of the filler, and then they rest again and build up bottle population. And the filler looks at bottle population by these triggers. And so as the bottles come up on the trigger, it sends a signal to the filler that bottles are backed up back to here. All the bottled beer that we run runs through this as the last step, and it's on the fly into the filler. Okay. So it's the last thing the beer sees.
Okay.
So that's what we're bottling today, LTD2. The labeler's doing body and neck label. There's also an inkjet number on there that is 4 months from the date of package. So it's 8/12/08, that's 12/12/08. That's the best buy date. All the beers are marked at 120 days. And they ride around. So now what this is doing is we'll sort cases into a pattern and then put them onto the pallet. And when you get enough cases, then it indexes and wraps itself.
Okay.
And so one of the guys downstairs in the forklift, he'll come and then stack that ready for a truck.
So how many cases to a pallet?
There's 60 cases to a pallet.
60.
So I maintain a 6-month representative backstock of every run of beer that we've made. Okay. So say we get an issue somewhere, someone calls in with a complaint, I can go back in and I can pull a cold storage sample and a warm storage sample and compare them in the lab to see if there's some issue that we don't know about. Okay. 9 times out of 10 it's a handling problem once it leaves the brewery because everything really, we try to stay ahead of everything. But we had example complaints from the Bay Area once, and it was the middle of summer, and we isolated him down to 1 load of truck, and the guy had basically stopped in Klamath Falls to visit his girlfriend, refrigerated truck, stopped 3 days, turned the truck off. So the beer got to like 160 inside the truck and just cooked it.
Oh, wow.
And you wouldn't know that without the ability to track back.
So how far back is right here?
We go back 6 months.
Okay.
And so you can see like, 6.2, 6.11, we have December 07s in the back row. And so then it's a rolling 6 months.
Okay.
And then we also keep very old beer back in here, also up top, to make sure the beer's not any good to drink, but you can do the analytical parts on it, bitterness, alcohol, carbohydrates, to make sure we're not drifting away from the recipe. The forest for the trees kind of things, we're doing it all the time. Taste panel says it's good, but is it like what we made 5 years ago?
Right.
And so then you double check.
Huh. Wow. Who knew?
It does feel good. It does feel good in here, huh?
When we return, I will sit down with Jamie Emerson to learn more about how Full Sail got its start and some of the things that this company is becoming well known for.